we were living in California, and California is the birthplace of skateboarding. So like in this part of the world, it's the fabric of this entire place. So it feels like very alive, and it feels very important when you're here because the people who created it, they're still alive. Like it's crazy that they're alive in our lifetime. It's like being alive at the same time as Beethoven or like the originators of a type of music or a type of art. And so these people walk our streets, and they're a part of celebrating skateboarding and still lifting it up. So that in itself is like, it's just really special to be around, and we feel it in Venice.
That is Lucy Osinski, CEO and co-founder at GrlSwirl. Hello and welcome to the Create Tomorrow podcast. I'm your host, Cassandra Napoli, Head of Marketing and Events Insight at WGSN. Every 2 weeks, I will be taking you on a journey, looking at how brands and consumers are creating tomorrow, whether that's through product innovations, actions and strategies, or online behaviors. Today, we'll be speaking with the co-founders of GrlSwirl, a women-founded skate collective unifying people globally by cultivating authentic community. Joining me to explore this topic is Lucy Osinski, CEO and co-founder at GrlSwirl, and Kelsey Harkin, co-founder and chief of global community and partnerships at GrlSwirl. I'm so excited to have you both here as I'm a really big fan of GrlSwirl, and I'm really looking forward to introducing our listeners and brands who listen to us to what it is that you do. So with that said, can you please describe to our listeners who you are and the origins of GrlSwirl? Lucy, I'll start with you.
So I'm Lucy. I'm the CEO and creator of GrlSwirl, and we also have Kelsey, who's a co-founder of GrlSwirl, which she'll probably talk about as well. GrlSwirl started 7 years ago in Venice Beach, California. I was a professional ballerina growing up, and I thought you had to be like a ripper to get on a skateboard. You had to be like Tony Hawk and like doing crazy airs. And I didn't grow up in California. I grew up in New York. So like I never really saw skateboarders other than that on TV and like never in person. And I moved to California years later in my life after like lots of things, lots of travels. And I was taught how to skateboard in like this slow, beautiful, patient way. It went from me feeling like really fragile in my life and like perfect, like a little ballerina, to feeling powerful and badass. Like just getting on a board made me feel like I belonged in this new town that I was in. And it made me feel like I had direction, and it made me just feel way more liberated than I had been going through in my life at the time. And it's all I wanted to do, but I had no one to skate with. So I started chasing down girls, made a text chain called GrlSwirl, and had kind of gathered a group of people on this text chain. One night we decided to meet up and have like a hangout skate. And we went from like being by yourself and getting catcalled and people like yelling, do a kickflip at you, to like being in a group with other women and people literally screaming, yeah, girls on skateboards, like stoked for us. It was a completely different experience being in a group. So not only did you feel safe, but you felt celebrated. And we kind of looked at each other and said, this is really special. Like the whole night felt buzzy and revolutionary. And it felt like there was like a momentum that was hard to pinpoint. So that night we decided, like let's maybe like make this a thing. Like let's actually start building this like for fun and just see what happens. No expectation of, what it could be. There was 8 other people there, and those 8 people, so total of 9 co-founders, became instrumental in this thing. We started hosting this skate, and the next time it was, instead of 9 of us, it was 20, and then the next one was 50, and then 100, then 200, and we started getting requests to open up chapters around the world. And what that told us was there's a need for this in the world. There's a need for this space for regular people to get on skateboards and feel safe and connected. And either we commit our lives to this because it became a very full-time life job very quick on top of our other lives and full-time jobs, or this ends and it's just like a fun little skate crew. And over the past 7 years, my co-founders and other women in our community involved in GrlSwirl have devoted their lives to this mission of getting people on boards and empowering them through skateboarding. And we've become the world's largest skate collective. We have 8 chapters around the world, We've gotten thousands and thousands of women on boards, hundreds of children on boards. And we use skateboarding as a tool for change and a tool for community building, which is something that's like really missing right now in the world that we're all struggling with. And it's really truly because of women working together instead of against each other. And that's like a corny ass sentiment, but it's real. It's real. So yeah, GrlSwirl is just birthed from true passion and love, and a lot of people who have the same mission, and their mission is like purely to celebrate community and empowerment through skateboarding. So it's been crazy. It's been crazy.
So inspiring. I feel like I want to go get a skateboard and get on one now. Kelsey, what about you?
Geez, every time Lucy talks about GrlSwirl, I'm just like, get these butterfly feelings. Like the first time when we met, like she said, we were just a group of girls who wanted to start skating. Yeah, so I met Lucy super randomly in Venice. I have a background in fashion. I used to own my own clothing company. And so that's what I was doing when GrlSwirl started. So I was totally not your typical skater. I owned super whimsical, beautiful women's ready-to-wear brand. And I threw really fun parties in Venice and just was like already a community builder in my own right, but through fashion. And so when I met Luce, she was like, do you skate? And I was like, yeah, I love to skate, but like I'm not good. And then we all got together. And then from that night that we all skated, as she said, it just shifted something within us. And little did we know it was going to shift something in our community of Venice, California, and then later on communities around the world. Right now in GrlSwirl, I spearhead all of our communities. So that involves all the 8 chapters that Lucy spoke about, our ambassadors that we have around the world, and all of our philanthropic endeavors, which includes our nonprofit Swirl Skate Foundation. And it's just really snowballed from being this little like fun thing that we did at night in Venice to a worldwide movement that doesn't stop at skateboarding. It starts at skating, and it really embodies what it is to be connected to yourselves in ways that you didn't know possible, but also friends and community that you didn't know existed is now right in front of you with GrlSwirl.
Would you say that interest in skate and surf culture has really picked up following the addition of both sports at the Summer Olympic Games back in 2021? Or do you think that this was sort of always brewing in the background?
We were living in California, and California is the birthplace of skateboarding. So like in this part of the world, it's the fabric of this entire place. So it feels like very alive, and it feels very important when you're here because the people who created it, they're still alive. Like it's crazy that they're alive in our lifetime. It's like being alive at the same time as Beethoven or like the originators of a type of music or a type of art. And so these people walk our streets, and they're a part of celebrating skateboarding and still lifting it up. So that in itself is like, it's just really special to be around, and we feel it in Venice. So it feels very alive here. When we go other places, I can understand people who don't have access to skateboarding seeing it on the main stage in the world, like the Olympics. Of course, it's going to shift the understanding that this is a mainstream sport, this is possible. And I've been privileged enough to not come into skateboarding when it was like a really hardcore thing where it was really like looked down upon, and people weren't treated nicely if they were skateboarding. Now it's like polar opposite, you know? So I do think skateboarding in the Olympics did change the understanding of it in the world. But I would say that like the culture movers are the people who are in these big cities like New York, London, Los Angeles. And within those spaces, skateboarding has always been and will always be a big part of culture because it's a part of urban life. It's a part of, honestly, like this century of what it is to be a human in these urban spaces is using it as transportation and as play.
I discovered GrlSwirl during the pandemic. I think people were stuck at home, stuck inside, hungry to be outdoors, right? And so you were looking at social media. There was a girl that went viral. She was a longboarder at the time, and there was a lot of like roller skates that I was seeing at the time. So it seems like the pandemic maybe accelerated interest too, but social media is such a critical tool for discovery. How do you see your platform having grown during that time in terms of its relation to social media and just your organic growth on these platforms?
The magical thing about GrlSwirl is that it happened in such a serendipitous time. So we started in 2018, and before 2020, we had already had our group of our community, and we had already had these real life experiences with people, so that when we were forced to take it solely online, we already had this like beautiful community that had blossomed in real life. And now we're looking to us to kind of lead the way online, which had never really been done before in that magnitude. So we felt like it was that's kind of when our social media has always been super strong because it's always carried us in a super authentic way. And thanks to Lucy, she runs our social media account from day one, has captured all of our in real life moments and the essence of GrlSwirl really well and conveyed it to the world, where people are looking to GrlSwirl for inspiration, not just with skating, but with style and a lot of the aesthetics. And so when COVID happened, we were like already just happened to be online, and nothing really changed other than the fact that we wanted to show up more for our community. And now with social media, we've been able to reach like truly thousands of cities around the world and touch lives of youth and women and people who just didn't have access to seeing skateboarding represented in a way that GrlSwirl did, which was not mainstream, male dominant, hardcore, like Tony Hawk, super technical. It was in a more playful, beautiful, and approachable way. So I think that that's really a beautiful thing that social media has brought to the table in skating.
I think what you're doing at GrlSwirl is really the epitome of cultivating collective effervescence, right? You're getting young women together who feel inspired to get on a board, and it's just sort of come as you are, a safe space. You've hosted lots of different events, some big, some small, where the energy just sort of seems electric. So, Kelsey, I'm going to come to you again here. How important is this community and fostering this sort of collective effervescence feeling in real life, the vibe at these events?
It's really everything that GrlSwirl stands for. We would be truly nothing without our community. So our chapters are ran by chapter leaders. These are volunteer positions of people who are really committed to building welcoming spaces in the skate scene in their communities. And these people are the pillars of what GrlSwirl are. They hold all of it together. If we didn't have our chapters and our chapter leaders, we wouldn't be able to spread the GrlSwirl mission as far as we have. And the most important part about that is our in real life events. That's why we'll never charge for a group skate. All of our group skates are free, come as you are, because we really want to capture that welcoming space that really makes people want to come and learn to skate, forge new friendships, not feel like they have to bring anything to the table other than who they are. And I think that really brings together groups of people that share that value of connection and inclusivity, whether or not you're from, the valley or the beach, and people are just coming together over this love of skating. And if you come to a GrlSwirl skate event, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, vibes are always high.
That foster friendship idea is so crucial. It's so much that we talk about in the trend world is about how you need to help young people make those connections because they are divided and there's like a loneliness epidemic happening and people just really are hungry and really crave community. So I think this is the epitome of like all the trends that we talk about, which is why I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. It's really the sort of culmination of everything I do.
I think that also like with youth, 100%, like it's so important to have beautiful, like lasting friendships as a young person. But when we get older, people forget that it's even more important to have those connections and those bonds. And like, friendships slip away as you get older. It's harder to make friends when you get older. And having these communities like GrlSwirl, whether it's skating or pottery or like book club or something, just going out and putting yourself out there is so important as an adult for our mental health and so many other things.
So I'm curious, what should brands know about partnering with female skaters? And should we demand or expect to see more of this in the years ahead?
First of all, always be selling yourself, be your best hype person all the time, because like you can only do that for you, and know your worth, because we entered a conversation where they didn't know our worth and we did, and we told them like female skateboarding is a thing, like people want to see it, people want to be involved in it, and we showed up and we showed them our community, and we showed them what every all these things that we do and how we impact the world. And at the end of the conversation, it was like they knew our worth at the end, you know. So I think that it just boils down to every aspect of your life. Like, yes, female skating is badass, but we just need people to speak up for us. And I think Lucy and I are really on that path.
I speak at colleges and I speak to young kids a lot. I always tell them, like, no one's going to advocate for you but you. Like, literally, no one's going to speak up for you. And being around brands over the years, it's been really easy. I've been on all the sides where I've been the brand and I've been the creator and I've been the producer and I've been the person who finds. I've done all of them. And I think it's really easy to be taken advantage of if you don't know how to navigate those spaces. And being a women founded brand in the beginning, all of us were terrified to ask for what we wanted. We were so scared to ask for money. We were scared to even accept money when we were building this thing that was community driven. And it took us like years of advisors really being like, hey, you're doing so much hard work and committing your lives to this and sacrificing your jobs and all these things. Like, you deserve to make money. And Kelsey and I both didn't pay ourselves for the first 6 years of GrlSwirl. And most of the co-founders never were paid for full-time jobs working at GrlSwirl for many, many years. And it's a testament to not us not knowing, figuring out how to ask for what we wanted, but like putting our heads down and committing to like understanding the value is much bigger than anything these brands will ever see on a social media post. It's like, if they don't, you know, it's really interesting to see like how brands communicate and work with us. So like, we've had the best of the best brands, and then we've had, you know, the opposite experience over the years. And I just think like being really clear on our mission and having a clear compass that like we always know how to make our decisions based on our mission has led us through a lot of navigations of gnarly situations, because we know who we are and what we want.
Please tell me if I've gotten this wrong, but it seems like over the years that your chapter leads and people in your community have almost become sort of micro influencers, micro celebrities in their own right, that brands actually want them to be a part of the ads, right? And so you have actually developed a creative agency. I would love to sort of dive into that. So you act as a creative agency, advocating for yourselves and working with brands, also a modeling agency of in some ways, kind of managing the talent that's a part of your community. Can you dive in a little bit to that side of things?
Yeah, we actually have a full creative agency. We built it out in the first 6 months of GrlSwirl because one of our co-founders, Monroe Alvarez, is an incredible, super successful photographer and producer, as well as some of the other co-founders' experience. Just like being in LA, you are always somehow a part of some photo shoot. Like, it just always happens. And we were getting approached by brand after brand after brand. And, you know, they wanted the skater girl aesthetic. They wanted California. And we decided like, hey, we actually really know how to do this. So we started acting as the agency. So casting skaters, obviously like our team riders, the ones who we know how to skate and know how to do it professionally, location scouting, production, full production. We know all of the photographers and the cool people in town, how to work with them. Directing, Monroe would direct, Shannon Monroe would shoot. I do social media. We have just like a plethora of talent within our group. So we started doing this and we did full, huge, like 100K plus campaigns that we did all in-house in our agency with Subaru and Roxy and Keds and Lucy and Yak and all these huge brands that over the years we got smarter and smarter where, hey, like, oh, you want to do a production with us? How about we take it to the next level? Why don't we do a clothing collab and negotiate even a bigger licensing deal? And what that did for us was while we had these opportunities, we used it as a platform for us to grow and show our mission around the world. So like, great example is Roxy. It's one of the most iconic surf brands ever. And we were able to do a full clothing collab with them just on the on the basis of us wanting to do a production, like a little photo shoot in Venice. And we were able to negotiate it all the way to a full clothing line that put us on this world stage. So this agency has been really monumental for us. And it's one small part of our business, but it has been really cool to see how we can, instead of being in the back seat where our brands lead us, it's like we're in the driver's seat with them, and we can decide how to navigate our community where we're not taken advantage of, and we don't feel like they're using Venice and using skaters. It's like we're able to pay people in Venice. We're able to support the community and give back while we grow for a mission-oriented reason. And I think that is like the best possible way you can work with brands, because at the end of the day, it should be mutually beneficial for everyone. And if it doesn't feel that way, it's like, that's where you need to have like the strong professionals that we were blessed to be given from the start.
So a lot of people listening, for context, are people that work at brands, right? And so marketers, designers, product developers, what is one piece of advice you would give them if they want to tap into the skate community?
Hit up real skaters. People that are really involved in the skate community. The skate community is super tight knit and everyone knows each other. And if a brand wants to be involved in the skate community, like, they need to show respect and approach someone that is in that community already.
I think the stories that have real authenticity and worth are like the people who are trying. So a good example is like Brooklyn Skate Moms, like cover of New York Times. GrlSwirl, it's like we're the world's okayest skaters. We're doing a 16-city world skate tour right now called the World's Okayest Skater Tour. And we're getting press everywhere because it's not about being the best. And I think from a marketing perspective, just leaning into that, whatever sports space, if it's skate, surf, board sports, tennis, I don't care. It's like, look at that side, because I think that's where the future is going, because that's community driven, not sports driven, if that makes sense.
So we've been talking a lot about the importance of play in the trend world at WGSN, telling brands that play is the future. If you don't invest in play, you're going to fall behind. And whether that's, lighthearted games or more meaningful challenges, both online and off, play is this great, powerful tool for bringing people together, as you said. We actually called out in one of our 2027 forecasts the GrlSwirl's, the World's Okayest Skate Tour, because it aligns with the ethos that you have that says you don't have to be the best, you can just still be the okayest and have the most fun. So I guess really, what has been the reception to that tour? Tell us a little bit more about it.
I was lucky enough to go on the first stop, which was in Bangkok, Thailand. It was pretty epic and very powerful because, we started in Venice, California, thousands of miles away from Thailand. We showed up there not expecting anything. And what we were met with were, hundreds of GrlSwirl community members that we had yet to meet that were so excited. They'd flown from all over Asia, drove from all over Thailand to come and meet and be a part of GrlSwirl. And that was just the first kickoff for the tour. So there's 16 cities all around the world. We're partnering with Electrolyte, and they have helped us make this possible, and started in Bangkok. Then we went to Miami and Austin, Phoenix. Then we just recently went to New Zealand, Australia. Next week, we're going to South America, and then we're in Mexico, and then we're back in the United States. So we're definitely hitting a lot of places around the world. Every location is led by members of our team. So at least 3 of our team riders who go and represent GrlSwirl in these cities. And every city we do free group skate, usually a skate clinic with the community. So that could be just another free meetup, or just something that's authentic to the community. We usually reach out to another skate groups in the city to do like a collab with them. And then we also do our youth mentoring, where we teach kids from generally underserved communities the basics of skateboarding. And with Carver Skateboards Helps, we've been able to bring Carver skateboards to these communities also and teach them the basics of surf skating, and also leave with them equipment so they can continue to learn from there. So every stop, we generally are there for about 3 days or so and really make sure that we hit all of these major points, from our free skates meetups to our youth mentoring. And then we pack it up and we do it somewhere else.
We went to Florida for a Miami group skate, and we did our skate mentorship, our youth mentorship at a native reservation, the middle of the Everglades. And they built a skate park in the middle of the Everglades. It was super cool. And there was like 6 little girls who were under 10 years old, who were like the only girls at the park. We taught them to skate. Some of them knew how to skate, some didn't. And after, we were like, hey, what if you guys really make your own skate crew? They're like, we've been wanting to, but we don't know how to do it. And their parents were there, and we sat with their parents and we're like, hey, like, would you be open to us working with the girls, teaching them how to make their own skate crew? So they, of course, were like, yes, we're down. And one of our designers, Naomi, who's a team rider as well, helped them design a logo. We came up with a name called Res Culture Skate Crew. We coached them online. We gave access to their parents, so their parents had access to it as well. And they started a skate crew, a women founded native skate crew, like these little girls. And it's probably going to be super successful. And I think that's just like the spirit of this entire tour is like, yeah, hundreds of girls are showing up. It's unbelievable. It's like shocking every time we're in a new city and hundreds of people show up and know who we are. But I think what's the real thing that's so shocking is that like people don't think of doing this themselves. And once they see it, they know that they can do it.
Amazing. Well, I'll stop it there. Like always, though, I do have a final question for the both of you. Just quickly, I ask all my guests, who is someone that you admire who's creating a version of tomorrow that really inspires you? So, Lucy, we'll come to you first.
Honestly, yeah, Kelsey, like my freaking partner. I feel so inspired by you and like all the work we're doing in the world. And yeah, Kelsey's a mom and has done so many crazy life changes and is still like so committed her life to this thing, even when there is no money on the table, and is just like committed her life to good and doing amazing work. And just working together has been so cool. Like we've been working together for 7+ years. And I think it's just really inspiring when you can see women who are like your friends and also like exploring new parts of themselves as a mother, as a friend, as a wife, as a playmate, like all the things, you know? So it's been really inspiring.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Luce. Like, I really look at the women around me for inspiration and like people like trying to. One of my friends, he was explaining that like he only surrounds himself with balcony people, like people. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, it's like if you were standing on the first floor and like someone was on the balcony, you would want that person to pull you up onto the balcony. So like those are your balcony people. They're not people that leave you on the first floor. They're people that pull you up to join them. And I was like, wow, I'm surrounding myself with balcony people. And those are the people that I look up to every day, like Lucy and all of our co-founders.
Thank you to my guests, Lucy Osinski, CEO and co-founder at GrlSwirl, and Kelsey Harkin, co-founder and chief of global community and partnerships at GrlSwirl. If you're a WGSN subscriber, look out for more trends at WGSN.com. If you're not a subscriber, please come and discover our services. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for our next episode. In the meantime, you can catch the CEO of WGSN, Carla Buzasci, next week on our other podcast, Lives of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Cassandra Napoli. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast, and see you next time.